Well, Rosie's hay protest is up. She's caved, she's eating our hay. She's really enjoying it now. Now she doesn't have to walk around, she can just stand here all day and eat as much hay as she wants. Let's head over to the cows here, check out what kind of grass reserves we have. Yeah, Rosie. You got mud on your face. You got mud on your face. It's been kind of fun seeing Buddy grow up because he's now at that age where he's starting to have his dominance over Oak there. Oak's just been abusing him since he was young, especially with those horns he's got, and now Buddy's starting to dominate him back. The downside to Buddy being so fluffy is he gets all these little pokey things in him. You get away from me, Oak. Oak gets a little crazy and he's got those horns and I'm not trying to get impaled by it, so I don't really pet him very much. Anyway, he's our beef, so in a few weeks he's actually going to the butcher. What are you doing? What are you, oh, and you burped in my face. Cows have these tongues and it's like sandpaper. It's a really, really rough tongue and it almost hurts when they lick you on your bare skin. Yeah, Rosie. Let's go look at your pastures. I think they've probably got maybe another day or two on this pasture, and then on this field, this looks like a pretty good pasture. We've got some pretty good grass reserves going on here. They should be here for 4 or 5 days, I would say. Each one of these pastures is about half an acre for them, and between the 3 cows, it usually lasts quite a while. As we start going into these next fields here, they're not looking too good. They've probably got a couple days on this one, maybe a couple days on this next one. We might have about 10 to 15 days left here of grass reserves before we need to start taking them over into the cow barn. Before we take them to the winter cow barn, we need to get all this deep bedding removed, which was from last winter, over into a pile outside of the barn so that way I can get the chickens to till it up and turn it into some really good quality compost. But before I do that, I gotta get these T-posts out of my way. Well, those are kind of hard to pull out, so let's let the tractor do the work. That's a lot of cow poop, and it's mostly hay and sawdust with a little bit of cow poop mixed in. High quality compost has a carbon nitrogen ratio of about 30 to 1. Right now this is probably sitting more at like 500 to 1. That's not necessarily a bad thing, because when we're deep bedding the cows in the wintertime, we actually want to preserve that nitrogen, and if our carbon nitrogen ratio was more at 30 to 1, we would be leaching that nitrogen in the air all throughout the year, and that is not what we want. What we want is to preserve that good nitrogen, all the good quality cow poop, turn it into compost right before spring so that way we can spread it early summer. And that highly carbonated sawdust actually preserves that nitrogen for us until that time comes. So we're gonna let the chickens come over and scratch this and turn this, and with the tractor we'll come and we'll pile it back up for them again. We'll let them turn it and scratch it and turn it back down onto the ground, and then we'll mount it up, and we'll just continue that process over and over again until we've got a nice high quality 30 to 1 compost. This is what happens when we clean out the barn. It looks much nicer, nice fresh surface for us. Before we start deep bedding, we don't just put the cows on this. We actually need to put in a good 12 inches of sawdust on top of this, so that way they have nice comfortable dry bedding to lay on. They're gonna basically poop on this, they're gonna pee on this all winter long, and we're just gonna keep adding sawdust as the time goes on. as the winter goes on, we're gonna keep adding more and more deep bedding, which this is the original product of what we removed from here earlier in the video. And so next year we'll end up removing this, turning into compost, letting the chickens do their thing, and we'll just repeat this process year after year. This space is pretty large, and of course they'll still have access to the 1.5 acres out there. This space right here is pretty big, so we have room to expand with more cows. Now we need to put in some T-posts and some wooden boards and a gate and all that good stuff. Let's get to it. Now that we've got a nice tight string line, the first thing I'm gonna do is set my gate. Because I'm using T-posts, I think I'm actually gonna slide my gate on top of this post. This post perfectly fits down the tube of the gate, and I already tested to make sure it spins pretty well. I think that's gonna work pretty well, and I think it's gonna be really sturdy. I think that's gonna work out pretty nice. The gate turns freely. There might be some screeching of metal, but we'll try and plug our ears when we move this thing. The nice thing about doing it this way is that it won't move too much back and forth, and it won't rely so much on the other posts, which are gonna be mounted to the pieces of wood. It slides up real easy. For our feeder panel here, instead of putting these boards straight up and down, we're gonna slant them. I was doing some reading, and I guess if you slant the boards like this, it's not as easy for them to pull the hay and then trample the hay inside the pen here. So hopefully that'll avoid any hay wastage that we have. Well, there's our feeder gate done. Next, we need to put up some middle cross members right there, one between the gate and the feeder, and then one on the other side of the gate. Doing this by yourself is kind of tough. I only got 2 hands. We got our feeder gate all set up, all our T-posts in place to create a fence. We've got our gate, and then we've got this little tiny fence on the end up to our pig pen there. Like I said, we have about 10 days left until we're gonna have our cows in here. The time has come. Let's get this gate open for them. Got some alfalfa to bribe them. Gotta open the gate to the pasture. Turn off the solar energizer so I don't shock myself. We gotta open the gate for the last time this season. Let's go get those cows and take them to the barn. Come on, cows. Come on, cows. Hey, old buddy. Hey there, Rosie. Let's go. Come on, cows. Come here, cows. Oh, they want to stop off and have a snack. Let's go, cows. Now they're coming. She just had to get a taste for that alfalfa. Come on, Rosie. Well, we'll bring Rosie in. We got Rosie in. I think the other 2 are running up the street. Whew. All right. Probably should have waited till Ashlyn was here, but I wanted to get it done because it's supposed to be snowing later today and really high winds, so I didn't want to have to be moving them in that. Catch my breath here. They're in the pen, they're in the backfield now, so we're all safe. They're in the barn now, safe and sound. Rosie did pretty darn good, but the other 2 kind of ran off on their own. It's probably gonna take them a second to get used to this cattle feeder right here because they've never had anything like that. It's gonna be strange for them to go from the grass to in the barn eating hay, but they should adjust pretty well. What are you playing with it for? There you go, Cash. It's gonna probably take them a second to adjust because when they're going from a nice green luscious field to sawdust floor, and then having to eat hay, it's probably gonna take them a minute. They're gonna sniff that hay quite a bit and ask me why I'm torturing them. So it's good quality hay, but it's not better than what's in the field, sadly. We had to cut it short. It is December 18th, and we have been grazing all year round up until today. Time for these guys to overwinter on some deep bedding, eat some hay. They're probably not too happy about it. Better for the land, better for us, better for them. They'll be back out on the green pastures in early April. Well, Rosie's hay protest is up. She's caved, she's eating our hay. She's really enjoying it now. Now she doesn't have to walk around. She can just stand here all day and eat as much hay as she wants. It's nice to have these guys in the barn for the rest of the year. I obviously wish we could have kept them out in the field as long as humanly possible. December 18th is a lot better than we did last year. Last year, we only grazed until about October 15th, and then we were feeding hay on pasture. By early November, we were actually back into the barn. Compared to December 18th, first day feeding hay, last year's mid-October feeding hay, we are doing a lot better. That is almost 2 months of difference there for us. Super excited that we were able to graze, and that was a mixture of rotationally grazing, and then probably also we got quite a bit of rain, so the grass grew later in the year. So hopefully next year we can increase that to January, and then maybe even later. We'll have to see. We're just gonna keep on moving, keep on rotationally grazing, and keep deep bedding these guys over the winter. I was looking over some photos from when we first got Rosie, and she was not looking very good. I'll have to pop up a photo here for you guys. She was super skinny. Her color was pretty pale. Now she's nice and full. She's nice and pregnant. She's also got really good color for the winter. She's got a nice coat on. Last year, she didn't have any of that. She was pregnant last year. Yes, this photo right here is her pregnant. Jerseys are typically skinny. You're gonna see their hip bones a little bit more. Compared to now, she has made a huge recovery and a huge weight gain. If you can see her now, she doesn't have nearly as much ribs showing. Her hip bone isn't showing as much. Huge difference. Her color's so much better. We've put in so much work over the last year to make sure that she is well taken care of, especially after losing her calf last year, which was such a big bummer. We wanted to make sure we never had to go through that again. Fingers crossed that she has a good calving this year. Well, actually early next year in March. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you in the next one. Pasture.